Oh, you're not going to do that? Okay.
So thanks everybody. This is kind of like old home week. First of all, because of all my friends from the manufacturing sector who I've worked with for ages and ages. Great to see everybody. But also because of Dan and Dean, especially Joe. We worked really closely together, and I remember, as Dan was saying, and I got to say, Dan, first of all, as an economist, I totally agree with you.
Oh, thank you. First one.
Yeah. But also, I remember two great things that happened with the industry committee. One was an all-party agreement that came together on a strategy for manufacturing. And what you said was absolutely true. When you are able to focus on what is important to the economy and get the politics out of the way and focus on the facts and hear from manufacturers, which was really, really important, it makes a huge difference. And that certainly was the case then. It was the case when Roy Cullen brought forth his User Fee Act. We worked with Roy. This was a bill that got unanimous consent in the House of Commons, unanimous consent in the Senate, and it just made a lot of sense. It was nobody could bring in a user fee if there weren't service standards connected to it. You know, the government had to guarantee that if you're paying a fee for paperwork to be done, that there were going to be service standards connected to it. And it was brought in 1995. The current government got rid of it 2 budgets ago, but for 12 years, no single new user fee was introduced by the federal government, and which I found remarkable. But the reason was because nobody could guarantee user fees. Now think of the business. Think of everybody's business here. If you can't guarantee, you know, delivery to customer and quality on time, you're in serious trouble. But I think that was a unique opportunity. A lot of it, Todd, I think is being adopted here in Ontario as well. It's really important work that was done there. So great to be here. As Jocelyn said, I left the CME. I have to say I left the CME because I wanted to do good things for manufacturing. That's a terrible thing to say. That's true. And the first person to call me up was Jocelyn. She says, "Look, what do you think about this idea of putting together this coalition of concerned manufacturers?" I said, "Right on," and really glad. So really glad to be here. Wanted to tell you a little bit about what I'm doing now, and I'm not going to take up too much time. So for my sins, I'm running the Advanced Manufacturing Supercluster. I've got to tell you, not only being an economist, but this is a bit like Alcoholics Anonymous. I've got to tell you, we do receive money from the federal government for what we do. But we were actually organized by our organizations put together. Next Generation Manufacturing was the one I run. We were actually put together about 6 months prior to any announcement about our funding. 7% of manufacturers across Canada do any competitive benchmarking on a regular basis. So 93% of our manufacturers are pretty much working in the dark. It's important to benchmark, and it's important to benchmark against best practices in manufacturing management. And that's one of the projects we're supporting. But this is the other stat, and it comes from a survey that was done a couple of years ago by StatsCan. 80% of manufacturers say that they've invested in some form of advanced technology over the last 3 years, or the 3 years prior to this survey. 80%. 45% of the companies that invested report that they did not achieve their business objectives as a result of that investment. And I think that is startling. What we want to do is focus on building management capacity, on de-risking investments, on raising awareness about not only about the companies that are out there and the services willing to help, but also about best practices in actually managing technology to maximize equipment efficiency, to maximize value that is being generated for customers, and to maximize the savings and the efficiencies that manufacturers need and can achieve as a result of those investments. So that's what we're trying to do. We have a slightly different business model from other superclusters. Our membership is open. So sign up, mgen.ca. As a member, you can propose projects, you can apply to be a partner in projects. But even more than that, we're looking at good ideas, good projects, as I say, funding companies with plans to implement new technology. And we're partnering with other organizations to do it. I was always tired of the fact that companies had to basically go out and find funding, whether it's public or private sector funding. So we are putting together what we're calling a syndicated funding approach, where we're partnering with NSERC to fund research in a project, or we're partnering with FedDev and with IRAP to fund other parts of projects, and we're partnering with the banks, believe it or not, and we're partnering with private investors to fund parts of projects as well. So we really want to make it as easy as possible, simplify this whole process in terms of companies and trying to get money, and demystify investments in advanced manufacturing. I think one of the biggest problems we face is that it's become so mysterious and so technical that it's often seen by many companies and sort of, well, where do I start? Where are the opportunities? How can I manage this? What are the business requirements for successful adoption? And that's what we want to target. So hopefully now we've got some money we can spend. You'll be hearing a little bit more of us. Please take a look at our website. Please join up. We'll ask you some information about what you can contribute to the advanced manufacturing ecosystem across Canada. But in doing that, we'll also be able to put you on some networks and connect you with not only other companies, but maybe some business services that can help you out too. One last story, and this is about some of the problems that companies that are fairly sophisticated companies are finding here. Just becoming aware of the opportunities and the other companies, the other resources that are available to them. This is a true story. It involves Bob McGee, who is the chair of Woodbridge, one of North America's biggest car seat manufacturers, and a guy called Tony Shaheen, who's the president of Myant. And Myant is a smart textile computing company. They have developed a nano yarn and a weaving technology, and right now they're manufacturing mattresses. These mattresses, and they're piling them down in clinics in the US. The mattresses can read blood pressure, body temperature, biochemistry, and react. So if a patient is sitting on a bed or lying on a bed, too long stationary position, the mattress will actually react to that. So think about it as a collaborative mattress in a way. They're using that. They're partnering with a company in Woodstock to develop a cow mattress, because if cows are comfortable, they give better milk. They're partnering with some aerospace companies for airplane seats, because you can imagine passenger monitoring there. And now they're partnering with Bob McGee at Woodbridge, car seats. You take a lot of electronics out of a car by putting it in a car seat. And they met on my board of directors, and they started talking. We're not even funding them. We just brought them together. Really interested in working with each other. But here's the thing. Their offices are across a parking lot from each other, and they've never met each other before. And that's always the case. That seems to be the case all too often. You know, companies are really focused on their business. And one of the things we really want to do is see if we can raise awareness about the fabulous technology, the fabulous manufacturing capabilities that are available across Ontario especially, but across Canada, and make some connections and build collaboration. And think of the opportunity that we have if we could bring all of the tech strengths and all the manufacturing strengths together. That's what we're up to. So thanks a lot. Thanks, Justin.